Well, my name's Luke Bosworth, and this is a story of how I was almost paralyzed. Let's get into it. I guess I'll pick up at the beginning of the story. Me and my girlfriend flew from Florida back out to Montana to be reunited with my truck, and we were going to take a road trip from Montana and drive my car all the way back to Florida because it was getting way too cold out west, and we wanted to see some cool spots along the way. So we stayed at the Whitaker cabin for about a week up in Bozeman, and then we departed on our journey from the cabin. We hit Yellowstone, Tetons, and then we got to Salt Lake City, Utah, and it was an incredible trip so far. It actually started out pretty bad. That will be in my next video, but after my incident with my car, the road trip was pretty good after that. And so when we got to Salt Lake, it was just supposed to be a stopping point, and then we were going to continue down to Moab, which was the real place we wanted to get to. And in Salt Lake, I realized that there was a ton of mountain biking jump spots in the city, and I'm not used to that at all because in Orlando, we don't have many mountain biking parks. I mean, we have no mountains, and we have no jump parks here because I think we have too many lawyers in Florida. So I was going to take full advantage of all the dirt jumps in Salt Lake, and the first day we got there, I warmed up on my bike at a dirt jump place and kind of got comfortable with my bike again. Hadn't been riding for a couple weeks because I was in Florida. And then the next day, we were actually going to head to Woodward Park City, which is like action sports mecca. I mean, they got mega ramps, foam pits, bike park, you name it, skate parks, you name it, they have it. And it's right up my alley, so that was a must for me to go there and maybe try some flips on my bike or something. I really wanted to backflip my bike, but they opened that afternoon, so we had the morning to ourselves, and there was a bike park called I Street right next to us, and it's pretty famous. I mean, I've seen so many people on Instagram posting clips from this park, so I was like, I have to go here. And we drove there, I got out of the car, quickly threw all my stuff. It was just supposed to be a quick little hour session. Emily stayed back in the car because she wasn't gonna be riding. And I get to the jumps, and these are massive. I mean, there's jumps I probably will never hit. But I was just gonna stay in my lane, hit the jumps I'm comfortable with. And then I kind of got acquainted with this step-up jump, which I'll try to show an animation on the screen. It's probably gonna be pretty bad. But it was basically a jump where you take off from the beginning and then you hop down to this U and then you hit the jump and then you land higher up on the landing. And they're supposed to be safer for landing tricks because you're taking away landing lower, you're landing higher. And I was getting really used to this jump. I really wanted to try to throw a no-hander, but I figured I need more air time. So I'm starting from the beginning of the jumps, and then there's actually this hill right higher up where I could get more speed. And so I go up there and I could actually see the car, and I was like, you know, I might as well go back, throw on some more protective gear because I just had my biking helmet on, not my full face jumping helmet or my knee pads. I was pretty unprotected, and I didn't have any filming equipment because I wasn't hitting anything too big. But hitting this jump now with more speed, I was going to be throwing some tricks. I wanted to start filming. However, I decided I was going to try to hit it with this speed, see what it was like, and then go to the car. It's always the one more. So I went down the jump, got down to the U. I had about double the speed I was hitting it before, just going so fast. Hit the lip of the jump, and I immediately got bucked, which just means I basically got sent into a front flip on my bike, and it was either hold on, brace for impact, and try to land front wheel heavy and ride it out, or bail over my handlebars and then have some carnage. I don't know. I don't think I have enough time in the air to decide that. So also the story gets pretty foggy after this point because I don't remember it. But what I imagine I did was I held on, thought I could ride it out, landed front nose heavy, and then just immediately got thrown over the bars. We call that OTB in mountain biking, and hit the back of my head, my shoulder, my hip, and it was lights out from there. And then all I remember is waking up, and there's a guy over my head, a fellow mountain biker who was also jumping next to me. And thankfully he saw me just laying there. He didn't see the crash, but he came over, called 911, and he had another buddy who's a mountain biker there. He went and got Emily in the car, and he knocked on the car, Emily thought it was me, and then she opens the door and it's some random mountain biking guy, and he's like, hey, your boyfriend's in bad condition. We called 911, and so she comes running over to me. She had absolutely no idea I was just unconscious on the ground because I told her it was going to be about an hour, and this was about the hour mark I was at. However, I just crashed and she didn't know. So that was a little bit scary. And then I remember waking up again on the ground and paramedics were all around me. Emily was there. And at that point they gave me ketamine, which is this crazy hard drug. I was freaking out on it. I had no idea what was happening. It felt like I was in a dream and I couldn't control what was happening. It was terrible. It was a terrible time. And the whole time I'm in excruciating pain. I think I passed out in the beginning because I hit my head, but then the other times I passed out, it was just because there was so much pain. Like, I thought I've felt pain in my life, nothing like this. And so they loaded me up on the ambulance, took me to the hospital, and that whole day, all the way until the night, they thought I could be paralyzed. So they had me in a neck brace. They were doing all these different scans on me. I was hooked up to IV fluid. And at night, they finally cleared me for not being paralyzed. Thank the Lord. That would have been awful. And that next day, they told me all the injuries I had. I broke my collarbone, shattered my pelvis, lacerated my spleen, and then fractured my breastplate. And for the height I fell at, I actually got pretty lucky, obviously not getting paralyzed. And then since I lacerated my spleen, it was a level 2 laceration. It goes up to level 5. And your spleen filters your blood, so it's a pretty important organ. If it did open up, I would have had to go to immediate surgery, which I did not want to do. So I didn't have to do surgery on any of my bones or my spleen, and I wasn't paralyzed. So I count that as 2 huge wins for me, although I am still broken. And I guess through this whole scenario, I've really learned how important it is to always be prepared. I mean, I had no phone on me. Luckily, I was wearing my helmet. I always do. Wish I had my full face on for more protection. But from here on out, I will always be wearing protective gear, and I will always be telling people exactly where I'm going, how long I'll be, because if the mountain biker wasn't there and found me, I could have been lying on the dirt for who knows how long until Emily would have found me. Probably another hour, just lying in pain with broken bones. It would have been terrible. Super, super scary that I got out so clean and so fast out of the area. I got very, very lucky. After we got to the hospital the next day, probably should have stayed that night, but I was adamant about getting out of there. We went into an Airbnb in Salt Lake, stayed there for a week while I rested my head because I really did hit it hard and I couldn't really look at screens, and I didn't want to travel anywhere for extended amounts of time with my head being as bad as it was. So I healed up, and then me and Emily flew home back to Florida, which is where I'm at right now, beautiful sunny Florida. And my car is still in Salt Lake City. So I proposed the idea to Glory, Glory Stories. I was traveling with her on the boat and in van life. I'm sure you guys know her. I asked her if she wanted to drive my truck from Salt Lake to Florida. And my idea was her car got hit by elk. That was a crazy story. Go check it out on her YouTube. But I thought it would be great. She would have a rig to use, and then she'd also be going down into warmer weather because it was getting way too cold up north to sleep up there in a car or a tent. So now she has a rig and she's driving my car home. Should be here at the end of October, although she's gonna take a little bit of a road trip, as she should, because driving that far straight just would suck. So she's going all the places I want to go, Moab, Colorado. It's going to be cool. Follow her there. Whoops. And now I guess I'll talk about how it's been since I've been home and healing up. The days are definitely not as fun. Coming from such a crazy adventure, such as living out of my truck out west for a couple months. Every day is different. I'm constantly being active and doing the things I love. And now I'm at the house and the days are pretty boring. I'm kind of just waiting for them to be over and get to the next one so I can heal up quickly and get back to doing what I love. It's definitely a mental strain on me though. It's hard. I mean, thank goodness I have a great family backing and friends to help me through this situation and keep my spirits up, you know, because I can get pretty down some days. But if you're going through school stress or injury or family issues and you don't have a great family backing or friends to help you with the situation, then I'd like to introduce you to today's sponsor, BetterHelp. BetterHelp is an online platform that connects you with licensed therapists. I know therapy can be a buzzword, but I do see it as a valuable way to unpack your thoughts and to gain a fresh perspective. One of the great things about BetterHelp is that they have over 34,000 licensed therapists from completely diverse backgrounds, so you'll be sure to find someone who meets your needs. Plus, if you need to switch your therapist at any time for any reason, it's free of charge. If you're struggling with, I hesitate to use the word depression, but if you're feeling down or just not yourself, please reach out to family and friends or even consider therapy. I know in today's world, we're all busy and we all have our own things going on, so having the ability to call or text or whatever you want your therapists is a huge advantage to online therapy. If you're interested, check out betterhelp.com/Luke Bosworth, or you can use the link in my video description. They're just gonna ask you a few quick questions, help you get connected with the right therapist for you, and then your healing journey can begin. All right, I gotta head to my doctor's appointment, see if I'm healing up nicely, and I'll probably have to pee in a cup. Let's go. Success. They made me pee in a cup because they're gonna test my urine. My urine's been a little pink lately. I think there's some blood in it, so hopefully it's not blood, but test to make sure. All right, let's give it a start. It's so crazy how before this accident, I'd never realized I could get injured. Like seriously injured. Like I've hurt myself a lot. I've been known to hurt myself, but never big injuries. It's always like cutting myself or, okay, that sounds bad. like cutting myself on a boat or something or stubbing my toe, you know, it's nothing ever too bad. So this injury has definitely opened my eyes to, whoa, I'm not as invincible as I thought I was, which is a little scary. But I do seriously think there was a deeper purpose for this accident. Before this, I was living out of my truck for a couple months and I was just go, doing something new every day. My mind was everywhere, scatterbrained, couldn't plan for squat because every day was just new. And now my life is completely slowed and I have time to plan videos or my life even and recenter my life onto the most important things. So I am very grateful for that, and I seriously do think there's a deeper meaning for this accident than just getting injured, you know. So I'm definitely going to be continuing to film YouTube videos because I love it and I know you guys love it too. But I'm also maybe wanting to finish my degree out in college. Maybe I want to get a job. Something I've really been struggling with YouTube is finding a greater purpose other than just me traveling around and showing you guys, you know. I think most people need a greater purpose than just themselves, because I've learned that serving myself, it's selfish and it leads to nowhere. It leads to unfulfillment. So I need a greater purpose to serve than just myself. And I'm trying to find that right now, as I'm sure a lot of you guys are. It's hard, it's really hard, but I think this time of being very still and slow in my life will allow for that. Something else that I thought was funny that came out of this injury was I want to mountain bike 10 times more than I did even before the injury, which I know, like, that sounds stupid. Like, you're just gonna go back and hurt yourself, but I truly do love action sports, and especially mountain biking. I'm just gonna be more calculated risk than just blatant risk, you know. I felt like I was being calculated, but I guess I could have been more. In action sports, like, we hate blatant risk, but we always do calculated risk. And people get injured all the time just driving cars or doing something else. So the way I look at it is, if this is something that's really giving me joy in my life, I'm not gonna stop doing it, even if I can get injured. I will definitely cut back a little bit on how extreme I was going, and definitely try to practice more and work up to bigger features. But I'm definitely not gonna be stopping action sports. I love them. I can't get enough of them. So definitely won't be stopping that anytime soon. Any other points? One last funny story from this whole situation. I found out there are some advantages to being crippled. When we were flying from Salt Lake to Florida, I got pushed around the airport by Emily, which was awesome. It was like 2 miles, I think she pushed me through the airport. It's a huge airport. And then we also got to totally skip the security line. It was massive, and we just got wheeled right to the front and then got let through. It was pretty cool. And first time in my entire life and my travel career, I got on the plane first. Never done it, and it just took being crippled a little bit to do it, but it was really cool. So there's some advantages, you know, you gotta look at the positive sides. The advantages are definitely not worth being crippled over for, but there's some advantages, so. Hopefully good things come out of this 6 to 8 weeks of recovery time I have for my broken bones. That's gonna put me at end of November, so thankfully I will be able to go on my group Trova trip that we're hosting at the first week of December. So that's gonna be super fun, super stoked I'll be able to go and be able-bodied. So on that note, I am going to stop rambling on and finish this video out. So thank you guys so much for watching and showing your love and support to my injuries and wishing me well in my recovery. It has truly, truly really helped, and I do really appreciate it. So thank you. Please continue to watch my videos. Hopefully next week I'll find something to do while I'm crippled. Alrighty, I'm gonna try to get out of this chair without a crutch because I left it over there. Let's go. Oh, I get like super stiff when I sit for a while. Alright, well, I took a big spill on my bike at the bike park. Not doing too well right now. My hip really hurts, my collarbone. This sucks, but this is how you get good at action sports, right? I probably won't be uploading for a little bit. I got knocked out for about 15 seconds. Just out cold. The back of my head hurts so bad right now. But pray for me, I'm doing better. How the heck am I gonna get my car back to Orlando? We're still in Utah. Well, I think I'll wrap up the video now. I'm currently on ketamine.
And fentanyl.
And fentanyl, yeah, it's crazy drugs. Still hurting though. And I'll let you guys know the damage report once it's all wrapped up. See you guys.